Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a all new edition of the Metropolitan Report. I am Alfred Parsar Jr. And before we start this Metropolitan Report, I just want to thank everybody for the page growing. And if you like this podcast, if you like my opinions, my takes, or even if you don't and feel that, you know, maybe you have a difference of opinion, but you like what you see, share this podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, go down below, right down below, and hit the subscribe button. That way, with new content such as special presentations like our game day experience vlog or our Metropolitan Report shorts go live, or even new episodes like this one go live on the page, you'll be one of the first ones to know. So, absolutely, thank everybody who is subscribed. Thank everybody who engages and participates. And yeah, let's keep this going. So it's a good time to be a Mets fan. We'll hop right into it. The New York Mets, as of today, Thursday, August 28th, 2025, are looking much better than they did when we left our last the Metropolitan Report live last week. This Mets team in the standings come into today at a record of 72-61, 11 games over 500. They are now 4 games behind the NL East leading Philadelphia Phillies, who are 76-57, who were just swept by the Mets in a 3-game series, mind you. And we're going to talk about the series, what we liked, what we didn't like in a bit. But this Mets team doing very, very well. Some say the offense has finally woken up. But this Mets team, tremendous showing in this series against the Phillies. And on the wild card front, the Mets still occupying the third and final wild card spot, but are now 4.5 games in front of the Cincinnati Reds, who were just swept by the Los Angeles Dodgers themselves. So very interesting things. The Mets get a sweep, the Reds get swept. There is now a little bit of separation in the wild card race. Like I've said before, I didn't think that the Mets could close the gap between themselves and the Phillies, but they did. And if the Phillies continue to go on a downward trajectory, the Mets all of a sudden could find themselves back in the division mix. You know, the Mets again, 72-61, 133 games played. There are 29 games left in the season. That's enough. That's enough games for the Phillies to falter and the Mets to take the division. Or if things stay the same as they are now, the Phillies can have the division and the Mets can get the third and final wild card spot and hold off Cincinnati. So anything's possible here. I definitely like what I've seen out of this Mets club. They're playing some very inspiring baseball, and their strengths are heavily picking up their flaws. The strengths being the offense right now, the flaws being the bullpen. So, a lot to get into here, a lot to be excited about. Now, of course, before this Philly series, this Mets team took 2 or 3 from the Atlanta Braves. So the Mets really getting back to their winning ways now, which has always been a good thing. If we want to take a look at the breakdown with the Phillies, as I attempt to pull up the box scores here on this Thursday afternoon edition of this Metropolitan Report. Thank everybody for being with us. So the Mets, look at these scores. On Monday, the Mets win 13-3. Absolute bloodbath. Tuesday's game, which I happened to attend, and again, my experiences at that game are on the YouTube channel. Again, we had a game day experience vlog. Go check it out. Nice little video of my experiences in Citi Field on Tuesday night. The Mets with a walk-off win, Brandon Nimmo walk-off single. The Mets win that game 6-5. And then yesterday, to complete the sweep, the shutout 6-0. So the Mets outscored the Philadelphia Phillies 25-8 in that series. 25-8, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this offense has been known to be very stagnant, has been known to be very slow coming together. So it's a very positive and encouraging sign that the Mets offense, that this Mets offense has come alive, especially at the right time. Huge series, divisional series. Mets killers on the other team, namely Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and the Mets had no fear. It's still testament hard this. I know on the program in the past that I've said on this program in the past that the Mets sometimes they play like they have no heart, but no, the Mets really they really outdone themselves here, and I couldn't be more proud or more happy of the results in this Philadelphia Phillies series. Again, this Mets team, tremendous showing at the right time, and the dog days of summer are about to be over, and you know this is the right time to win games. Granted, the Mets at one point in time were 21 games over 500. Those days are over now. They're 11 games over 500, but they have firmly positioned themselves in the right place at this point in the season. I want to take a look at this Philly series. Who shined in this Philadelphia Phillies series? So we go to Monday's game, the 13-3 bloodbath. That beating that we gave the Phillies. You look at the Mets. Mostly everybody hit in this game. Juan Soto, 1 for 3. Starling Marte, who's continuing to have a great season in a platoon role, 1 for 3. Pete Alonso, 1 for 5. Mark Vientos, 2 for 3. Brandon Nimmo at a 1 for 4 game. Tyrone Taylor out of nowhere, a 3 for 4 game. Jeff McNeil, 2 for 4. And perhaps the hero of that game, Luis Torrens, who went 3 for 5 with 5 RBIs, including a home run. I don't think we'll ever see a better game offensively out of Luis Torrens, who would be the last person I would expect to be the catalyst of a pummeling of another team. Then we go to Tuesday's game. Now, the 6-5. Well, before we get to Tuesday's game, let's look at the pitching in that 13-3 bloodbath that was Monday's game. So the starting pitcher for this matchup on Monday was Kodai Senga, and we made a video last week asking what's happened to Kodai Senga. Kodai Senga struggles again. He labored. Gave up 3 runs on 6 hits, 4 strikeouts, and 3 walks in 4 innings. Senga threw 96 pitches in 4 innings. Nowhere near efficient. And it just makes me wonder what has happened to Kodai Senga. Kodai Senga at the start of this season was looking like the Mets ace. Ghost fork pitch, unhittable. But now I just don't know. I don't know if it's a fact of teams have been able to better scout him now. Now that he's been in the league for some time, now he's become hittable. I just don't know. But this Kodai Senga, granted, he only made one start last season in the regular season due to injury. He had the decent 2023 rookie campaign, but I think teams are now starting to catch on to Kodai Senga. Um, I'm a bit flabbergasted how Kodai Senga, who was once a guy who you knew you could get 6 out of innings, I'm talking about, and all of a sudden his best pitch is working against him. The ghost fork. He's the only guy in Major League history to throw a ghost fork. And for whatever reason, it's looking like a regular old fork ball from the 60s. I really don't know what's going on with Kodai Senga. It's mind-boggling to me how it's just mind-boggling to me how here was a pitcher who was really good at one point in time, the ace of the staff, and now I don't even consider him the ace of the staff. With the way David Peterson's pitched all year, especially with the All-Star selection, he is the ace of the staff, not Kodai Senga. You can't be the ace of the staff when you consistently cannot make it to the 5th inning in your last couple of starts. Got to give the bullpen credit here because the final score was 13-3. Outside of Kodai Senga's 3 runs, the bullpen held it down. Jose Castillo, scoreless inning, although he didn't strike out or walk anybody. Tyler Rogers, who I've been critical of since he came over, scoreless inning, no walks and no strikeouts. Brooks Raley, scoreless inning, 1 strikeout, no walks. Ryan Helsley, who we'll focus on a bit later, surprisingly, scoreless frame, 1 strikeout, no walks. And then Ryan Stanek to close it, 1 walk, no strikeouts. But he had a scoreless frame as well. So the bullpen, which has been the Achilles heel of this baseball team for quite some time, the bullpen was fantastic on Monday night. Bullpen surrenders no runs in that game on Monday. Really, really good stuff out of them. Again, this Mets bullpen, their struggles have been profound since June. We're in August now. A rough 2 months with the bullpen. You never know which Mets bullpen is going to show up, but the shutdown super pen showed up on Monday. So then we looked at Tuesday's game. Tuesday's game again. I was there live on Tuesday. My experiences again from that game are on the YouTube channel at the Metropolitan Report podcast. Tuesday's game, we want to look at the Mets again. A lot of the guys in the lineup hit. Every player that took an at bat, minus Jeff McNeil and Luis Torrens, all had hits. A couple of guys multi-hit games. Francisco Lindor, 2 for 4. The hero of this game, Pete Alonso, 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Mark Vientos, 1 for 3. Brett Beatty, a key single in the bottom of the 9th. That was documented in our game day experience vlog. Brandon Nimmo, of course, his lone hit was the walk-off to win it. Tyrone Taylor also 1 for 2. No home runs on the side of the Mets. And then you go to the pitching now. Sean Manaea started this game, and even though he could not get out of the 5th inning, he couldn't make it to the 5th. He pitched 4 2/3, didn't walk anybody, had 8 strikeouts, only allowed 2 runs on 6 hits. So Manaea, a solid line, 8 strikeouts and only 4 2/3 innings. That's actually phenomenal. 4 2/3 innings. So with 14 outs, 8 of his 14 outs were strikeouts. That's a high clip, and he didn't walk anybody. I just wish that he could have finished the inning to go 5 and get the win for his performance. Again, Manaea coming off the oblique injury. He had a very lengthy rehab. He had a couple of setbacks. Didn't get back till right around before the All-Star break, 1 weekend before the All-Star break, So Manaea is still trying to get his proverbial feet under him. But Sean Manaea, a hell of an effort. Again, 8 strikeouts. When you get 14 outs and 8 of the 14 are strikeouts and you don't walk anybody, that's a good showing, positive sign. I would just like to see the Mets build him up to where he could go 5 or more. Then you look at Gregory Soto, who pitched a third of an inning. Now, granted, Manaea's 2 earned runs came from Gregory Soto. Soto came in with the bases loaded when Manaea was pulled. Faced Bryce Harper in a lefty-lefty matchup, and Harper got a 2 RBI single. But Soto, nonetheless, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. The runs weren't charged to him because they were inherited runners. Gave up 1 hit. Huascar Brazaban, who has been called back up to the Mets, appeared in this game. Frankie Montas, bye-bye, so long, farewell. Never have to yell about you again. He's out for the year with a torn UCL. We'll touch on that a little bit later. But Brazaban has been brought back up to the big league club now that Montas, who was in the bullpen, is gone for the year. Brazaban, no strikeouts, no walks in his lone inning. Gave up 1 run on 3 hits. Atrocious. Tyler Rogers, scoreless frame again in this game. 1 strikeout, no walks, no earned runs, 1 inning. Ryan Helsley, who, again, we're going to touch on in a minute, after the previous night of a scoreless frame in a low-leverage situation, at the time he came into the game, the Mets were up 5-3, and Helsley, 1 strikeout, 2 walks. He gives up 2 earned runs on 1 hit in a third of an inning. Horrible, horrible showing. And then Edwin Diaz had to be called for 5 outs. He goes 1 2/3 innings. And out of the 5 outs, 4 of them were via strikeout. He had no walks at all in his appearance as well. So again, Edwin Diaz, 1 2/3 innings, 5 batters he faced, struck out 4 of them, didn't walk anybody. The Mets, once again, the theme from 2024 was heart, resilience, and late comeback wins. And they absolutely accomplished that. They absolutely accomplished that in this game. But I got to focus on a guy here. I don't know what in the heck has happened to Ryan Helsley. Ryan Helsley was a guy that when we got him at the trade deadline, closer of the St. Louis Cardinals, the Cardinals were hovering around 500 at the time. And Helsley was their closer, and he had great numbers this season with St. Louis. The Mets, we got him for next to nothing, and I was very excited to have Ryan Helsley in our bullpen. His first night on the club, disastrous. His tenure on this ball club has been nothing short of disappointing. Let's pull up the numbers here, the graphic. A tale of 2 cities, ladies and gentlemen. On the left is Helsley's numbers this season with St. Louis. On the right, his season with the Mets. Prior to being a Met, when he was on the Cardinals, a win-loss record of 3-1, an ERA of 3, and as you can see, blown save opportunities, 5. Now, when I say blown saves, even if he wasn't trying to close the game out, he entered the game with a lead, and by the time he exited the game, the lead was turned into a deficit. So on the flip side, with the Mets, so far this season, Ryan Helsley, 0-3, 10.38 ERA, and 4 times he's come into the game where the Mets had a lead, and by the time he exited the game, the Mets no longer had the lead. It's like a game of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. His numbers in St. Louis were solid. He has 21 saves this season. Granted, St. Louis, if they would have made the playoffs this season, had they not been sellers at the deadline, the Cardinals would have relied on Helsley, and for the most part, he was good for them this year. 21 saves and 26 opportunities, an ERA of 3.1 win-loss record. Comes to the Mets, and I guess when he got off the plane in Queens, he just forgot how to pitch effectively. How do you go from 3-1 with a 3 ERA to 0-3 with a 10.38 ERA? And I said it on this show previously. I said on this show on our trade deadline reaction special that out of the 3 relievers the Mets got at the deadline, Gregory Soto, Tyler Rogers, Ryan Helsley, I felt Helsley was the best acquisition of the bunch. Say what you will about Tyler Rogers and say what you will about Gregory Soto, but their numbers as Mets are not anywhere near as bad as Helsley's is. 10.38 ERA. I mean, I at this point, and I know hindsight's only 2020, but I am so grateful to the baseball gods that the Mets didn't give up capital or prospects that we would have wanted to hold onto for Ryan Helsley. Ryan Helsley, I'm gonna be frank here, and I'm gonna come back on the screen here. But Ryan Helsley has been a major disappointment in Flushing. And the Mets are trying to make a playoff run here. So the Mets trying to make a playoff run. Helsley, once we get to October, Helsley, if he continues to go on this path, is going to be a liability. I just don't know, folks. You know what Ryan Helsley reminds me of? You ever see the movie Space Jam? Not the modern day one with LeBron James. I'm talking about the classic Space Jam with Michael Jordan. You know, for those of you who've never seen it, in case you've been living under a rock, one of the greatest movies of all time. Michael Jordan and the Looney Tunes have a basketball game against some aliens with Michael Jordan's future and the skills of NBA players in the balance. But if you've seen Space Jam, the Monstars steal the talents of several NBA players. Muggsy Bogues, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, Sean Bradley. And when those guys got their abilities taken from them and they tried to play, they were god awful. So have the Monstars now, are they trying to play baseball now? Have the Monstars taken Ryan Helsley's pitching abilities from him? Because Ryan Helsley, since he's been in Flushing, has become a human pinata. I had high hopes for Ryan Helsley. Ryan Helsley's a guy, and I said this before, but he's a guy who comes in here with an entrance. At Citi Field, they put flames on the screen. They ring the bells. They dim the lights. They give him an Edwin Diaz type entrance. Until he gets his stuff together, he shouldn't have an entrance. When Edwin Diaz comes into the game, guys like Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and Trey Turner, they get scared. There's a very low probability, and the opposing hitters know it. There's a very low probability that they're going to get hits off of Edwin Diaz, let alone a game tying or game changing or go ahead type of hit. Players on opposing teams opposing the Mets, they see Ryan Helsley, they start salivating. Their eyes get wide because they know that the chances of them tying the game if they're down, taking the lead if it's tied, or extending the lead if they're in the lead already have now just increased. Take the man's entrance away. You think the fans in Citi Field, and I'm not talking about the casuals who show up on $5 Tuesdays to get their $5 beers and their $5 hot dogs and their $5 pretzels. No, I'm not talking about those fans. And I'm not talking about the fans who show up for fireworks on Fridays because it's a night out of the house in the summer and you might as well since the tickets are affordable. No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the diehard fans who live and die with every pitch that this team makes, and they live and die with every at-bat that this team takes. Those are the fans who groan and moan and roll their eyes when the lights go off and we think the trumpets are about to sound, but instead of trumpets, we hear bells. Nobody's afraid of hell's bells in 2025 at this point in the season. In St. Louis, yeah. But Helsley isn't in St. Louis anymore. And granted, the Cardinals have the second most World Series in MLB history behind the Yankees. But even with all that rich history of that organization, the lights in St. Louis are nowhere near as bright as they are in New York. And if you can't perform here, then I don't know what to tell you. But Helsley's been a disappointment. There's enough time in the season, 30 games left. He'll probably appear in about half of them, pending no injuries. But Helsley has just become such a disappointment. I don't even know what to make of it. But he's got to get his act together soon because the Mets are making a push for October. And for this bullpen that's been bad since early June, we're going to need Helsley to step it up and take away that entrance until he can get it right. But going back to the Mets and Phillies series, and then in yesterday's 6-0 drubbing, the boy wonder, the rookie sensation, Nolan Mclean, pitches 8 innings, doesn't walk a soul, strikes out 6, and only gave up 4 hits. Brooks Raley came on to close it out. Wasn't a save situation, struck out 1, gave up a hit, no runs, no walks in 1 inning. Let's talk about Nolan Mclean. Nolan Mclean has made 3 starts this season. Nolan Mclean is 3-0. ERA under 1, ladies and gentlemen, at 0.89. Nolan Mclean should have been called up sooner. When Tylor McGill went on the injured list, you had Frankie Montas out there being a human piñata. Kodai Senga was out. You had Blade Tidwell coming up and down between Syracuse and Flushing. Spot start here, spot start there. Justin Hagenman starts here, starts there. And all the while, there was a diamond in the rough in the farm, and it was Nolan Mclean. You want to look at Nolan Mclean's numbers, 3 games started, a perfect 3-0 win-loss record, ERA 0.89, 21 strikeouts in 20 and a thirds innings. You want to compare strikeouts to walks? 20 and a thirds innings, Mclean has only walked 4 batters and struck out 21. Dare I say, if this kid would have been brought up sooner, we'd have a Rookie of the Year candidate here. Matter of fact, let's look it up because he may be eligible for Rookie of the Year status next year. Let's see, because sometimes guys make their debuts late in the season and they still carry over rookie status. All right, so if he throws 30 more innings for the year, he won't be eligible for Rookie of the Year status next season. According to the official MLB rule book, for a player to lose the rookie status, they have to exceed 50 total innings pitched. So at 20 and a third, he may not have. I mean, we saw Yordan Alvarez win the AL Rookie of the Year in 2019. The guy played less than half a season, so anything's possible. But Nolan Mclean, and I said this in a previous video, it's on the YouTube channel, but this kid is a sensation. You even want to look at his game logs. Nolan Mclean, I absolutely am impressed by what I've seen out of Nolan Mclean. He is the first pitcher in Mets history to have a 3-0 record in 20 plus innings with 20 plus strikeouts and a sub 200 opposing batting average over his first 3 career starts. And he's the first pitcher in Major League Baseball to do it since Randy Johnson's rookie season with the Montreal Expos in 1988. So think about all the star pitchers that we have in our game and that we have had in our game since 1988. And nobody has started a career 3-0 with 20 plus innings, 20 plus strikeouts, and an opposing batting average under 200 since Randy Johnson did it in 88. Garrett Cole, Clayton Kershaw, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, even the great Paul Skeens over in Pittsburgh, who took the league by storm last season and won the Rookie of the Year. Everybody was ranting and raving this season about Jacob Mizorowski in Milwaukee, and they gave the kid an all-star selection after just 5 career starts, a slap in the face to so many other pitchers, not only in the league currently, but in the league in the past. But Nolan Mclean proving to be the truth. I want to pull up his game logs. Nolan Mclean, and we covered this after his first start against the Mariners, which was at Citi Field. That was on August 16th. He went 5 1/3 innings, surrendered no runs on 2 hits, struck out 8, walked 4. He only has 4 walks for the season. All 4 of those walks came in his debut. He hasn't walked anybody since. August 22nd at the Braves, in Truist, 7 innings, 2 runs on 4 hits. Maintained his composure, though. No walks, struck out 7. And then yesterday against the Phillies, no runs allowed, only 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, no walks, 8 innings. This kid should have been called up sooner. And you know what? For as much as I criticize David Stearns on this channel, he actually, and I gave him credit. I've given him credit because if you go on our David Stearns video, I gave him credit. He knows how to do, and he's done it in Milwaukee, but he knows how to develop a farm system and to develop that talent there. Nolan Mclean is that guy. Injury update really quick before we move on to the Mets' upcoming schedule. Frankie Montas, who was a starter, demoted to the bullpen, and now has torn his UCL. Probably going to need Tommy John. Done for the year. Bye-bye, so long, farewell. When he goes to see Dr. James Andrews in Birmingham, to get his elbow fixed. Tell Dr. Andrews I said hello. Dr. Andrews, one of the best surgeons, sports surgeons in America. But Frankie, take your time coming back. If I never see Frankie Montas in a Mets uniform ever again, my life expectancy will increase by at least 5 years minimum. Other injury news. Not much to talk about now that Frankie is no more, but another Frankie, or at least Francisco Alvarez, who's been out with a torn ligament in his thumb, has had a setback again. Francisco Alvarez earlier this week started a rehab assignment with the Syracuse Mets. He was previously in Syracuse when the Mets sent him down amidst struggles in the season. And Alvarez has been hurt. In yesterday's game in Syracuse, Alvarez was hit by a pitch in the same hand where he has his injured thumb, which is also on the same hand where he broke his wrist in spring training. It just doesn't get any easier for this kid. See, Francisco Alvarez last season breaks his hand. This season misses the start of the season, breaks his wrist. He comes back, struggles, gets sent down to the minors, gets called up, has one good week, and now he gets hurt again, tearing a ligament in his thumb. The kid just can't catch a break. At some point, the Mets have to reevaluate Alvarez, who formerly is a member of a 20 home run club in one season, a couple seasons back. Did it in 23. How many injuries are you going to have on the same hand? It's going to zap him of his ability to hit, zap him of his power. And it's just unfortunate to see because at one point in time, Alvarez was the number one prospect, not just in the Mets pipeline, but in all of baseball. And injuries have just hampered him the last two seasons, this season and last season. And I don't know if we'll ever see Alvarez get back to form because injuring the same body part over and over and over definitely is not good. But we do wish him well. In the meantime, Luis Torrens will continue to start with Hayden Senga being the backup. But looking at the Mets' upcoming schedule, the Mets later today, well, this evening, a couple hours from now, are going to open a 4-game series against the Miami Marlins. A series the Mets should win, considering the Marlins have nothing to play for, below 500 team. The Marlins sitting at 62-71. Even if they win out, I don't think it'll do anything. Pitching matchup for tonight. The Marlins have not yet announced a starter. The Mets are going with Clay Holmes, 11-6, 3.60 ERA. Then tomorrow's game, they're going with Yuri Perez, who's 6-3 with a 3.44 ERA, going up against the debuting Jonah Tong, which should be interesting. I'll be in attendance for that game personally to see Tong's MLB debut. Jonah Tong, before we even continue, Jonah Tong this season is the minor league strikeout leader. That kid has some nasty stuff. We made a video a couple of months back talking about Mitch Voigt, Carson Benj, and Jonah Tong. Jonah Tong this year, if we take a look, mind you, he got called up after only 2 AAA starts. He spent the majority of this season in AAA Syracuse. You look at his 2025 stats, he's made 22 starts, a record of 10-5, but an ERA of 1.43, and he struck out 179 batters in 113 2/3 innings between AA Binghamton and AAA Syracuse. Most of the damage done in Binghamton. Again, he only had 2 starts in AAA. But excited to see what Jonah Tong is going to bring to the table. And if Jonah Tong ends up being like a Nolan Mclean, then things will be very interesting in Flushing come October because you got two rookie sensations. McLean's already an innings eater. If Tong could even be 80% of what McLean is, I'll be happy. Now, again, I'm a bit iffy on the promotion because, again, Tong's only had 2 AAA starts. There is a vast talent difference between AA and MLB. He was unhittable in AA. Had decent numbers in AAA, but again, 2 starts can't really judge him on that level in AAA. But again, I'm hopeful that Jonah Tong will be great. And then we see Edward Cabrera start on Saturday. He's 7-7, 3.32 ERA. Mets are going to trot out David Peterson, who's 8-5 with a 3.18 ERA. And then in the series finale on Sunday, Marlins haven't announced the starter. The Mets going to trot Kodai Senga out on the bump, 7-5, 2.73 ERA. His numbers on paper are good, but it doesn't tell the whole story. But we'll see if Kodai can bounce back to form. But folks, we've reached the end of the line. I think the Mets are going to take at least 3 out of 4 in that Miami series. Hopefully Jonah Tong has a great debut. I will be there live in attendance tomorrow. We'll be back on this program. Sunday night. Well, actually, no, Monday morning. I'm sorry. We will be back on this program Monday morning. We will be live Monday morning, of course. You know, when I say live, interacting with viewer comments and such. But until then, stay tuned to the channel. I will have content come out sporadically throughout the weekend. If you're going to be in Citi Field, drop me a DM at _Metropolitan_report on Instagram. Shoot me a message and let's chat. And be happy to meet up with anybody who views this show if you're going to be in Citi Field this weekend, particularly Friday or Sunday. But I've said all that I can say. The only thing left to say is, let's go Mets.